The others and myself feel that the theme residing within all of our assigned texts is how conflicts can arise due to the way we are viewed by others as well as ourselves. In Lubrano, we read about a son who feels as if he can never live up to his father's expectations. It's a sort of shame that he carries with him, and he feels his father's disapproval in everything that he does. The father makes him feel this way through the things that he's said, the things that he's done throughout the young man's life. And this causes a conflict between him and his father, a misunderstanding. In Hasselstrom, we read about a woman who's dealing with the conflict of being defenseless. She feels that she's viewed as being a defenseless woman. She feels that she's viewed as being defenseless just in general by society, as society usually does view women as being defenseless and are supposed to be more cautious of their actions and their surroundings. This view that society paints of women leads her to feel the same way about herself. She also views herself as defenseless. She views herself as a target for danger. And this shines through in the way men tend to treat her. Dangerous men often approach her, try to harm her, or harass her. And by the way that she feels, by the way society feels of her as being a woman, that is her conflict that she has to overcome. How to not be defenseless, how to turn the tides in her favor when faced with a dangerous situation. In Slater, we read about a young man who grows up having an issue with stuttering, a speech impediment. And the view that he holds for himself comes out when he speaks about something that happened in the past. He was calling a girl's house in order to ask her out. The mother answers, and all he seems to do is stutter. And it takes some time, but he takes a breather, takes a deep breath, and he finally says the words that he needs to say. And the woman laughs, the mother laughs, thinking that he's just forgetful, that he just forgot who he was calling for. And he says to himself that he'd rather be thought as forgetful than be thought of as an idiot. And that's where we see that he views himself as an idiot, as someone who doesn't belong. And society often does paint this picture for people who have speech impediments or other disabilities and disadvantages. So we see that his conflict is given birth due to the way he views himself and the way he knows society may view him. In Grimble, the story is about a man who views young men hunting for an octopus, and they're hunting, and he's curious about the process. He has watched them many times, and he gets invited to join in. And he's fearful of the octopus. He's fearful of feeling it, of being wrapped around with it. He's just scared, and it's something completely new to him. But his conflict, this fear, is amplified due to the fact that he knows he's well known on the island, and the natives they see him in a certain light, and he views himself as a man who has a reputation with these people, and he knows that if he fails, he'll be ridiculed. He knows that these younger men are able to do it so easily, so he should be able to do it too. And that's the view and the views that he has for himself, the views that others have for him. These perceptions give way to a conflict that he has to overcome. In E.B. White, we read about a man who seems to be dealing with the idea of aging. And at the end, it becomes apparent that this is his conflict, having to accept the fact that he is getting older, that he is aging. And this is due to the way he views himself. He sees himself as a man who is definitely getting older, a man who is aging. If he did not view himself in this way, or so critically, perhaps there would be no conflict within the story at all. There would be nothing negative that he would feel. And so when we look at all these essays, when we look at every story, we see that every one of these characters feels a certain way about themselves. They view themselves as a certain thing. They have others in society view them in a certain light. And the way that they hold themselves, the opinion that they have of themselves, and the opinions that others have of them, give birth to conflicts that they have to overcome. In Lubrano, the son feels shame. In Hasselstrom, the woman feels defenseless. In Grimble, the man is worried about his reputation, about how others think of him and how they will think of him if he fails. In Slater, he views himself as an idiot. In E.B. White, he thinks of himself as an old man who's getting older and older and older, and eventually he will die.